Hey squad, welcome back. Now today's video opened with a piece I released recently on Instagram called Satisfied. Now I was demonstrating there how you can create a really nice smooth groove with just a few instruments. The track itself only has drums, bass, electric piano and a couple of really simple melodic lines. It's only 1 minute long, however I fully intend to finish it off and release it on Spotify, etc. And when I do so, links will be on my music website, deucebeats.com. Anyway, the reason I put that at the front of this presentation is to explain that I use this baby to record the electric bass. And in this particular video, I'm going to be explaining why I choose to use this Audient ID14 audio interface for pretty much every audio recording I do today. Now over the years I've collected quite a number of audio interfaces, all of which still work and give awesome results, but this baby right here gives me a flavor that I'm really feeling right now. Anyway, let me break it all down in the video, so let's get into it. Okay, so before we start digging into this, let me give you a quick overview of these devices and explain to you why the majority of them are still very relevant to the work I do today. Now for many of you, this box means a great deal, just like it does for me. This is where it started for many of us who in the early 2000s were able to record using a laptop on location. For me, it was the first serious USB audio interface that would give you great results, the DigiDesign MBox 1. As things moved on and developed, the MBox 2 Mini came out. It was another great alternative that you can just throw into your laptop bag and record vocals or other instruments on the move. Again, another great piece of kit. I also invested in the MOTU 828 a long time ago, and that offered me 2 mic inputs and 8 line inputs. I was able to connect this up to my mixer and grab 8 input signals all at once. Great for tracking drums or a small band. I then invested in the PreSonus FirePod, and this is really exceptional. It comes with 8 Class A mic pre's. I was able to daisy chain these 2 devices and get a total of 16 ins and outs, which again was great for recording bands. Now this unit is really special. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued for some time, but I'm still able to use it. It's the M-Audio ProFire Light Bridge. Now, what's special about this is it allows me to connect up to 4 of these devices and give me 32 ins and 32 outs. Maybe if I was recording a huge band with maybe horns and strings and multiple microphones, this baby will allow me to do that. Now, this unit is a fantastic device and you can still get these right now. They're continuously being upgraded, and I'll have links in the description where you can grab one right now from Amazon. It's the Focusrite Sapphire 6 USB and it gives you outstanding recording quality. You've got 2 mic inputs and up to 4 line inputs on this, and the results are actually brilliant. And I still use this a lot when I'm doing some location recording. Now here's another great unit that I use all the time, especially when I'm working with students. I just throw this into my gig bag and I'm off. Great audio recording quality, as you've got 2 XLR and jack combo connectors, so you can record vocals as well as live instruments. You'll see these in tons of YouTube videos, and I know so many people who rely on this as their main audio interface. Again, you can grab one of these from Amazon, as I've got the link in the description. Now, before we dig into this and jump into the software to check out the recording, I just want to give a big shout out to my man guitarist Richard from Feltham. He's one of the longest standing supporters of my channel, and it was his idea to do a video such as this. Thanks so much for the support, Richard, and I really do hope this one will help you out. Okay, so the Audient ID14 is a fantastic audio interface. I did a video on it some time ago and a link will be on the screen. However, I hadn't really used it that much at the time, but now it's the audio interface I reach for each time I'm recording my electric bass or my electric guitar. Now it's real simple to use. You've got the gain controls on top here, and this here it's a switchable controller knob for volume and one or two other things. You've got your phantom power switches here, your DI at the front when you're connecting up your instrument. At the back, again, you've got your combi connectors with line and XLR inputs and a couple of line outputs. Now, the thing I love about this is the color and tone you get when you record your instrument. Like I said, I've used all of these other devices, but there's something about the preamp and electronics in this device that gives me a color and tone that I'm really feeling. Now, I'm sure that has something to do with the fact that Audient is a world-class mixing console manufacturer, and they've used that same high-end technology and crammed it into this device, and the results are really apparent. Okay, again, if you want to grab one of these from Amazon, a link will be in the description and you can do so right now. Anyway, let's jump into the software now so we can check out the track and the audio recording. Okay, so here is the project itself in Logic Pro X, and as you can see, this is the entire project. We've got some percussion, some drums, a hi-hat pattern. Down here we've got some main keys. I've got a melody which I created using Alchemy as a sampler. Check out my video on how you can use Alchemy as a very powerful and flexible sampling instrument. And then we've got down here, we've got synth line, and then we got our bass line here, and then we've got an affected bass at the top of the track. Very simple arrangement, very simple production, but very effective nonetheless. Okay, so let's just have a look at the actual bass parts. As you can see, I've switched all of the plugins off on the master as well as on the bass track for both of these. I'll put them on in a minute. And let me play back just the bass soloed so you get an idea as to what's going on in terms of tone. So check this out. Right, as a bass player and as a producer, sometimes you want to leave those little imperfections in your recording because that's what gives a production that organic, real, natural feel. There are a couple of things in here which I could have gone in and taken out, but that's not what we're after here. We want to convey to the listener that I'm actually playing the bass, which I'm doing right here. Oftentimes, your brain can tell you when it's a real bass player playing and when it's an actual synth that's playing the bass line. But anyway, have a look at the meters on the main bass line. Okay, so you can see that I'm aiming for an optimum recording level of between -18 dB and -12 dB. Again, check out my video on gain staging as well as my other video on how to avoid clipping and distortion when you're recording audio, and you'll find out why. When you're recording audio using an audio interface and you're direct injecting, you want to watch your levels and not necessarily record too much above those limits. Anyway, you'll find out more in those videos. Links will be on the screen and in the description. Now, I've done the same thing for both of these. If you check this one out as well. Right, great. So again, trying to maintain that level between -18 and -12 dB. You might think, okay, that's really quiet compared to all of the other instruments. Well, I've given myself lots of headroom to actually increase the overall gain through plugins and other methods. Now, another thing I want you to pay attention to is what frequencies are most prominent for this bass line. So I'm just going to insert an EQ, a logic EQ right here, and I'm going to play back the bass line. And I just want you to watch the analyzer and we can identify where this bass line is most prominent. Right, now there are 2 points that are really poking out on this bass line. One is around here, and that's around 75, and the other one is around here. Let's bring one of these down. It's around here, which is around about 130, around that sort of figure. Let's play that back again. Right, so I'd even say up to 80 Hertz, around that sort of a mark. Now it's important that you recognize where the bass is prominent in the recording. The reason for that is, let's look at what's happening with the kick drum. So let's bring the kick section in and put an EQ across that. Okay, and let's have a look at that. Now, as you can see, the kick is occupying a much broader range of frequencies and it goes pretty low down, in fact below 50 Hertz. So on the kick drum channel, I'll use a peak EQ. I'll come down here around 80 Hertz. I'm going to notch a little bit out, okay? Just so that I can create a pocket for the bass line to really punch through. Maybe about that much. And I'm creating that little extra room for the bass. The kick is going to be prominent below and slightly above as well. But by doing this, I allow my bass line to cut through that bit more. Okay. And these are simple steps you can take to clean things up that will allow different instruments that occupy the same range of frequencies to kind of cut through and be heard. Now let's look at the two EQs, the bass down here and the drums up here. Okay, now I'm going to engage some of the plugins that I used on the bass line to add the extra life and sparkle that I'm looking for. It's great to have a nice tone on your bass to start off with, but then I like to add additional color using effects plugins. Now both of these come from the Waves plugin suite, so let me just play back and bring them in and you'll hear how they adjust the overall tone of the bass. Okay, now the affected bass, I've got a couple of other things on this section. So let me loop around that section and I'll bring these bits in. Great, now that's sounding real nice. And I'll just put the effects back on that I have on the master section, and then let's hear how that sounds all together. Great stuff. I really do hope you found the video useful. If you did, drop me a line in the comment section, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. This will really help me out. Now remember to support me at deucebeats.com as well as on my social media channels. And finally, switch on that notification bell so just like the rest of the MTTC squad, you'll find out as soon as my next video drops. Until next time, I'm Dr. Deuce. Peace.